Dude, 1984 is when the Karate Kid came out.
That's crazy. That's
almost a 40-year-old movie. And in 1984, the 40-year-old movie was Casablanca. I mean, it's nuts, man.
One movie holds up, the other doesn't.
Okay. Have you ever seen Casablanca?
No.
Okay, so. So, we were talking about it before the show today. The Karate Kid, about a kid from New Jersey moving out to the Valley here in Southern California with his mom.
Sounds like Del Tufo.
Right. He's getting bullied in high school, and he finds himself and his chi and his confidence in karate, with Mr. Miyagi being the one to show him the way, even though he had no idea he was being shown the way by painting fences and waxing hoods of cars.
Child labor.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, Daniel's son was pushing back a little bit, saying, you know, what am I doing here?
Right.
And so this has led me to this idea, a top 5 list of the top 5 high school movies of the 80s.
Okay.
I don't know why, but the 80s were chock full of movies involving high school and high schoolers.
Yep.
It's tough to find 5. The Karate Kid doesn't make the list.
Wow.
Doesn't make the list.
Upset.
So I'm using it as inspiration. If you wouldn't mind giving me a little bit of music here. Just give me the usual music.
Yeah, that hoops me.
There you go. There we go. Right. Top 5 high school movies of the 1980s. And it starts with number 5. And a name that you're going to hear quite a bit, John Hughes, wrote this film. And I had many choices on this front. To start off, I'm going to go with a Molly Ringwald movie because I was head over heels nuts about Molly Ringwald in high school. In 1986, the year I graduated from high school, I'm going with Pretty in Pink, number 5, right here, about Andy, who she was playing, and Ducky, played by John Cryer. Just friends. Ducky was in love with Andy, who found love in a preppy named Blaine, played by Andrew McCarthy. And, of course, any 80s movie worth its salt has to include the a-hole played by James Spader, which he did in this film. And this movie, as all of them, have great soundtracks. I'm going to name for each one of these a great song from it. From Pretty in Pink, the song involved in Pretty in Pink was... oh, God, here it is. I wrote it down. No, here it is. If You Leave by Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. If you remember that song? No, yeah, folks who hear it will not be able to unhear it again the rest of the day. So that's Pretty in Pink, number 5 on the list. Number 4 on the list, about an individual just like Andy in Pretty in Pink. A lot of these involve seniors and senioritis, about going off to college. A young man named Joel, who was going to Highland Park High School, applying to Princeton, had his life turned upside down in risky business. 1983, Tom Cruise bursting on the scene in his underwear. The song from this movie, as we all know, was Old Time Rock and Roll by Bob Seger. Also, Depeche Mode. Anybody who remembers the train scene with Rebecca De Mornay knows about Depeche Mode music. She played an individual of the evening, if you will, that Joel got involved with. Tell me you've seen Risky Business, Chris, right?
I mean, it's been a while.
And Rebecca De Mornay's John, played by Joey Pants, Joe Pantoliano. Unbelievable. Great movie. Tom Cruise, Risky Business. Number 3 involves another senior in high school with a serious case of senioritis 2 months before graduation. A young man named Ferris Bueller decides to wake up and act sick and take a day off.
Only number 3.
1986, John Hughes. Okay.
Number 3, TJ.
Oh, by the way, also Risky Business. One of the folks in Risky Business friend Miles, played by Curtis Armstrong, people might know as Booger from Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh, yeah.
Ferris Bueller's Day Off, we all know about this incredible movie and how it informed so much of my high school experience in my senior year and what Ferris Bueller meant. And to this day, I still even feel like anytime you don't want to go to work, the great scene involving him not being in class, Ben Stein asking for Bueller. Anyone? Bueller.
Anyone?
Exactly.
Fry.
The remarkable Mia Sara as his girlfriend, as we all know. Alan Ruck was on this program, revealed he was 28 when he played Cameron.
Not a high schooler.
In that film. The song from that movie, Oh Yeah, by Yellow.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay. That is the song that became very popular from that film, and of course Ed Rooney. Fantastic. John Hughes. Interestingly enough, this movie directed by John Hughes, shot at the same time. I did not know this. To save money and time and a budget, shot at the same time with the interiors in the same high school is number 2 on this list, The Breakfast Club. Did you know that they shot this at the same time?
I did not. Oh.
Yes.
Wow.
At North Main High School in DePlain, Illinois. Breakfast Club is number 2 on this list. It's Shermer High School, which, by the way, is rumored to be the same high school. It was mentioned in Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Weird Science, another John Hughes movie.
Yeah. Love that.
I did not know that.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And also
Sounds like a bargain.
16 Candles, another John Hughes movie of the 80s. But we all remember in Shermer High School, Saturday, March 24th, 1984, an all-day detention. A brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Watched by Vice Principal Richard Vernon, played by the actor Paul Gleason, also known as Clarence Beeks from Trading Places. And we all know how it's this was an adult high school movie where Pretty in Pink was, and a lot of these other movies are about silliness or love gone wrong. This was about kids having major issues with themselves and each other and finding a common ground. We all know the song from this movie, Don't You Forget About Me, by Simple Minds. That's number 2 on the list. And for me, the number 1 high school movie of the 1980s, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, 1982.
If I'm here and you're here, doesn't that make it our time?
Correct. It is now on our time right here. Sean Penn, as we all know, bursting on the scene in a way that we've really never seen him again. The fact that he's Jeff Spicoli and what I am, Sam, right, is truly amazing. And it was the moment I fell in love with Phoebe Cates. I'm not going to lie.
Fair.
Rich, that was the moment everybody fell in love.
We all did. But
fair.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High is a movie I haven't seen in a while. I believe it still stands up. I think it does. And that's my top 5 high school movies of the 1980s. Here on the...
one more?
Oh, sure.
All right. We'll get
Oh,
one
wait,
more.
what?
Yep.
6? Oh, my God. No.
No, I always do one more. I always do one more.
You can't
no,
do
I'm going to
6.
throw it in here. I'm going to throw it in here. Best sports movie of all time. Milan High School's remarkable run to the championship. Hoosiers. It's about a high school, isn't it? It's about a high school. Totally different. There you go. Hoosiers.
Hoosiers.
Is just throwing it in there. Coach Dale and Jimmy Chitwood and Ollie and about those crazy high schoolers of Milan High.
What was the quote? Rudy is a documentary compared to Hoosiers.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
No, Back to the Future, huh?
No, that's kind of like Die Hard being a Christmas movie, that being a high school movie. It's not really. It's about a movie about a high schooler going back in time, I guess.
It's a movie about what?
A high schooler going back in time. This is about high schoolers going through life, learning about
Going
life.
through life. The guy goes through time.
Oh, my God.
Had he not gone
Back
through
to the
time,
Future.
he wouldn't have a life.
What do you mean?
Is a high school movie
He has to go
like
back
Die
to a
Hard
high
is a
school
Christmas movie.
to find his parents
Get outta
to
here.
make sure they
Goes to
fall in
prom.
love.
Get out of here.
There's like not one but 2 high school.
Pretty in Pink,
Oh,
Risky
pots.
Business, Ferris Bueller's
Wow.
Day Off, The Breakfast Club, and Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And, yeah.
Back to the Future.
You would put Back to the Future as a high school...
An egregious
oversight?
oversight here.
What else? What else am I missing?
What year was Dazed and Confused?
That was 90s, dog.
Oh, was it?
That's 93.
You know,
I was
did
born
a
in
similar-
85.
I did a similar thing last year. Or so our top 5 is different. I had Vision Quest, Better Off Dead, Lean on Me, Just One of the Guys, and I did 6 too. I had Weird Science and 16 Candles at number 1.
I didn't even know Footloose.
Footloose,
I know.
too.
How many high school related
all of
movies
them.
were
I
in the
think all- I
80s?
think all
Like
of
every
them.
movie that came out.
Like you never see a high school movie anymore,
All
right?
of them.
No.
No, not anymore.
That's because John. By the way, John Hughes
He wrote them all. He took all the
spoke
ideas.
about teenage angst, unlike anybody. I mean, Say Anything was potentially on this list.
Yeah. That was a 90s flick, though.
You know, no, Say Anything was in the 80s,
88?
late 80s. Yep.
Okay.
It snuck in just in the wire. I think it was 89.
I love that is one of my favorite movies, by the way.
Ferris Bueller.
I didn't even give you a song from Fast Times at Ridgemont High, but
Dead Poets Society.
I almost went Dead Poet Society.
Good one.
But I
A
mean,
little dark.
I kind of chose about a high school experience, senioritis, you know, going off to college like Risky Business and losing your mind before you go off to college. Pretty in Pink about a senior. It involved James Spader. You can't have a great 80s movie without James Spader.
True that.
The Breakfast Club is the ultimate teenage angst 80s movie, and then Fast Times at Ridgemont High is just number one.
And the great thing about Fast Times, which I think we all love, is the fact that you get that high school experience, but then kids nowadays, Rich, what they will probably never get, guys, is what it's like to go hang out at the mall. Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, I don't think those days exist
It's
anymore.
Saturday. What are you doing? I'm going to the mall.
I'm going
Yeah.
to the arcade. I'm going to get a slice. I'm going to go see a movie. Like, the mall experience is just not, and probably never will be the same. And that's one thing kids nowadays will never
Bill
really
and
be
Ted's
able to.
Excellent Adventure.
If I had to choose a song from Fast Times, I would choose Somebody's Baby by Jackson Brown.
There's
Good
gonna
one.
be somebody's only night.
No, stop. You know. I don't want to give
get
Jackson
flagged.
Brown money. So
And plus the
There's my
scene
list.
that was playing when that song played.
that's it.
You know?
Rich, that's your list. No one's going to take it away from you.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.